We're pleased to be joined by Denise Kolpack, who is now she's a veteran Fargo City Commission member. She's been at it for 1 whole year.
1 whole year.
How are you, Denise?
I'm well. How are you, Scott?
Good. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So how's it going?
It's going very well. It's been extremely rewarding. I was thinking about, I was reflecting on my first year, and I think the most important thing any new elected official can do is that better? Is to show up. And so I've been in the office pretty much since I've started every day, which is important because you get to meet the staff, which are really running the city, and develop a relationship there. But that's how you learn, is that you're in the office and you're doing the work.
You ran, obviously, a campaign
Right.
to be ultimately elected to the city commission. Anything from your time in the campaign of, this is what I'm going to focus on, this is what's wrong, this is what needs more attention, where you found yourself very surprised?
As a candidate, I met with every department head to really understand and try to understand how the city runs and operates and what the priorities of the city are. Talked to a lot of constituents and citizens along the way in the path, and certainly, the cost of government is a concern for folks, so how can you be a good steward of every tax dollar you collect has been a priority. Child care still continues to be a passion of mine. We've got an issue in this community and actually across the country now in child care, so I was active in the legislature and followed all of that legislation on behalf of the city and daycare providers and families in our city. And so it's really just learning the job and being a good representative and as constituents reach out, doing the homework and following up and finding solutions.
On the daycare front, has progress been made?
There was some progress in the last session. I would say that we have a lot more to do. So that continues to be front and center for me. And
what can the city do without the benefit of the state?
The city, there's some things we can do to streamline some of the issues, but the reality is we have to develop relationships with daycare providers in our community and work with our local area legislators to find solutions. It's got to involve the state.
I want to ask you a little bit about your interaction with the head of the DEI office.
Sure.
The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director in the department. I found your comments about it refreshing because, rather than just check the box, ask questions and get answers and call it good, you're like, these answers aren't really what I was looking for. Like, you're not answering my questions here.
Right.
Explain what happened there.
Sure. So he gave Dr. Hogan gave a presentation of his plan at our March commission meeting, and it wasn't the detail that I had hoped for, so I asked some follow-up questions at the meeting. And then about 6 weeks after the meeting, because constituents still are reaching out along with media, and I followed up with him with a list of specifically 9 questions that mirrored his presentation and where are we. Then I gave him a month. We met. I still didn't get the answers I was looking for. We waited another month. We met. Still didn't get the answers, and now I'm meeting again in a couple of weeks. Hopefully I'll get the answers. That's
got to be horribly frustrating.
I think it's such a missed opportunity for the city, and we're making an investment in diversity. And first, about 70% of the job is supposed to be first about how do we get more diversity in our workforce for the city, and 30% community involvement. And there have been a number of meetings in the community, but what are we trying to achieve? So basically, I've asked, what are the priorities? How are we going to get there? And what are the metrics of success that will demonstrate that we've succeeded?
And normally when someone in a position of, obviously, you have with City Commission, this is someone that serves as a department head, is going to be responsive to questions that are being answered. I mean, what do you make of just the sheer fact that your questions are not being answered month after month after month?
Well, first of all, this is not a personnel issue. That's not my job. My job is really what are the outcomes we're achieving with the investment we're making. And so I also included the mayor and our city administrator in those meetings because that's the appropriate protocol. He is a liaison to the mayor, and the city administrator is the supervisor. So they were part of these discussions too. But I just sincerely want to be able to demonstrate that the program is being successful. And in order to do that, I need the information.
Do we need that department in the city of Fargo?
I will say I think it's an opportunity for the city. When you look at the makeup of our staff, that we have a ways to go to reflect the diversity of our community. Having said that, there is a robust practice in hiring where it's based on the qualifications of the candidates and coming in, and It's very objective, the way that the hiring is done, and but we have to be intentional about how we're recruiting for diversity as well, and that's really some of the questions that I have.
I'm just wondering, can you do that with individual department heads that are doing the hiring, having a quest to, as you say, make sure that every candidate gets a fair shake? I don't know. I never understand why we need a director to do that in particular organizations.
Yeah, I think that, the purpose of this program is to have an intentional focus on how we're going to do it. The day-to-day life of a director in any department is focused on delivering the services for the citizens of Fargo, and having this expertise in-house and focusing on it was the original intention. So my point is, where are the outcomes and what are we trying to achieve for this investment that we're making?
And one more time, you're going to try and get those answers.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm going to continue until I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you been disappointed with the response of the director saying, I've answered your questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have.
That's got to be frustrating.
It has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's just basically blowing it off. I've answered your questions. So good luck in this most recent meeting. I hope you get the answers you're seeking there.
Thank you.
Is the City of Fargo well run?
It is extremely well run. That is, I knew as a candidate, I was talking to Scott earlier, that as a candidate, I met with all the department heads to understand how the city operates and to get to know them and understand the work. But since starting now and a year later, I have to say I'm most impressed. The city's greatest asset are its employees, and they are very passionate about what they do. The competency and the expertise in every department is phenomenal, and Fargo should feel really good about who's operating their city.
In the next year, what's your top priority?
Next year, top priority number one is always to continue to learn and to show up. To be a good elected official, you have to represent the people and to answer their questions. Budget's going to continue to be a top priority, and we have some work to do there for long-term sustainability. We need to do more work around communicating the good work the city does and helping citizens understand, for instance, yes, we have debt, but debt is low risk, and every city has debt for a reason, but let's explain the reasons why a city has debt and that it's secure, and what are we doing to be stewards of the tax dollar.
Well, that sounds like a robust portfolio for the next year.
It is.
And we can't wait to catch up with you sooner than a year.
Yes, let's do that,
This
Scott.
next time, and find out how things are going, especially interested in how your quest for answers of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department flush out. So thanks for the time today, Denise. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, Scott.